Hello everybody, welcome back to this channel and welcome back to yet another disturbing movie breakdown. That is right, we just did the coffee table and we're now going in to a very infamous disturbing movie. It's one that you will see on a lot of lists with people saying that they couldn't finish it, it was too sick, it was too hard to do. So yeah, I spun the wheel to give me a random movie, and this one came up very early on into our disturbing movie breakdown series. So let's get on with it. So the movie I am going to be talking about today is Salo, or the 120 Days of Sodom. This is a Italian graphic it's deemed horror. I can see why they call it horror, because it's horrific. It's more, I would say, drama. I think it's a drama political movie as opposed to just out and out horror, but I can see why they class it as a horror. And it was the last movie of the director. So I've got the director's name here. I don't want to butcher it. I am Italian, half Italian anyway, Sophia Margaritelli. So here we go to butcher an Italian name. So Pier Paolo Pasolini. It was his final movie. It came out 3 weeks after his murder. And reading up about his murder, that's a whole other thing. That could be a whole other video in itself. But it's very unsolved. People don't know whether it was to do with his political views, whether it was like a terrorist attack, whether it was the mafia killing him. It was a very brutal killing and kidnapping, and people say, oh, it could be tied to people didn't want this type of movie getting out, and that's why he got murdered. He's known as well for being very provocative in his movies, so it wouldn't surprise me if it was something like he upset the wrong people with his movies, and that's what's happened. But yeah, this was his final movie, and it came out after he had died. So yeah, it's when you know stuff like that before you get into a movie, it always makes it that much more interesting, So as I said, this is Italian. It's in Italian. So good old subtitles. This was very difficult to find with subtitles because I don't have it on physical media and nowhere was streaming it. So I had to find it on the archive website, and so many of them on the archive website is just in Italian, no subtitles. One of them was dubbed in English. They had such a massive delay on it that you basically knew what was being said 10 minutes before the event actually happened. So eventually I found one with English subtitles so I could get down with my popcorn and enjoy some Salo. So, if you don't know what this movie is, it's infamous, I would say, for one moment in particular. This is what I would call the poop movie, okay? I think if no one's seen it, or no one knows much about it, but they've heard the name, majority of the time people are going to call it the poop movie because it includes scenes with poop and eating and just a lot of poop in general, and I think that's become what it's known for. It's actually a very complex, character-driven movie, and I think that it gets a bad rap in the sense of people come and write this movie off for saying it's so disturbing, but actually I find it's a very important look at history, at what it was like at the time. This is set in World War II, and it's set in Nazi occupied part of Italy. And it gives you so much empathy for the characters that are having these atrocities committed to them that I find it's more manageable to watch than, say, an out and out just gore fest disturbing movie. So yeah, I have some praise for this movie, I really do. But as I said, this movie follows a bunch of high-end people who are part of province of Salo in Italy. They know that the time is coming to an end. They know that they are losing, so they embark on 120 days of just this horrific humiliation kind of parade with, I believe it's 9 young girls and 9 young boys. This movie is split into 4 sections, and it documents those atrocities, and it's difficult to sit through, just because it zero in on the emotional distress that it causes these poor people that are having it done to them. It's very difficult to get into the nitty-gritty of this movie on YouTube and not get instantly booted off the platform, so I'm going to try my best, but obviously, so there will be spoilers and obviously some triggering stuff, especially to do with SA. But this movie, instantly, it's not going to be a nice time. There's a scene where they are picking people. They're picking boys and picking girls that they feel they want to do these things to, and they basically line them up, they have them naked, and it's like cattle. It's like what I would imagine selling cattle would be like. Like, you have them all lined up, and you look at them, and you look at and see how big they are, you look and see how much muscle they have, how pretty they are, do they smile in a certain, like that sort of thing. It was very business, orientated with this. They selected their favourites, and they make them go to this massive mansion, and one of them tries to run away and instantly is gunned down. And as soon as that happens, there's going to be no sense of happy ending in this movie. There's going to be no one successfully escaping. There's going to be no revolt against these people. It's just going to be this movie about just depravity, and that's what you get, people. That's what you get. There's so much, just like I said, SA. It's like so much. Like, they will just be having dinner in a hall, and these women will be walking in, and they'll have to be fully naked, and they will trip over someone's foot that someone's put there, and then they will just get mounted, and they will just have to do these things. And it's just so, the way it's done, it's so blasé. There's no real big lead up to it. It just happens. It's just the way that they move the camera around. It feels very almost like it's just another minute of their day. Like, there will be scenes where things like this will be happening, like horrific SA, and it will kind of be, what's happened, because it will kind of linger when they do it, but then it will step back, and then it will just cut to like someone that's talking, like general, whether they're at a wedding or whether they're just talking generally, and this horrific things happening in the background, but no one's paying attention to it. Everyone's just eating, like no one notices. It's just a part of the norm for them. And I think that's where the disturbing elements come in, is just how normal this is for these people, and that's the sad and horrific thing, is that stuff like this, whether or not it was to this extent, you read in the history books how just awful people were treated back then for being on different sides, and it's just horrific. So seeing a movie that kind of doubles down on this, there's no humanity in people, it's very difficult to sit through. I said about the poop. If anyone wants to know what that's about, this one of the handlers in this group essentially says about how C came to be, realised that C has got coprophilia, and if you don't know what that is excitement around poop. So there is a whole section where these people are just being force fed poop, and it's vile, it's disgusting, it lingers so long. Like, it's literally like a section of this movie is just for that, really, and it's very, very difficult to get through. And again, it's just such the depravity of it, just the fact that they're treated like dogs, you know, and you wouldn't even treat your dog like that, you know. And it's just, you just feel so much empathy for these people. You know that the time is coming to the end, and you're wondering what is going on. And, you know, they get split up into their favourites, and their favourites are promised to live another day, and it ends with all of the other poor people just stuck out in a courtyard, and they are just brutalized to death. You have people with their, you know, they're getting kind of their tongues are getting ripped out, they're getting just brutally murdered, they're getting essayed while that's happening, and it's just people, they're watching these people that are doing these awful acts to them. They know that the time has come, and this is kind of like their big moment. And it's just, this is probably, for me, the hardest bit of the movie to sit through, because it's unrelenting, and you can just see in their faces that they're all just kind of thrown together in this courtyard, and you can tell that they know that it's not going to end well. And just the way that it happens, it's so long and drawn, and it's so painful, and just death. You're begging them for death. You're begging them to just end it for them, and they don't. And it's very, very difficult to sit through. And yeah, that's Salo. That's how that movie ends. It ends just with that, just depravity. But it continues from the start of the movie all the way to the end. Like I said, it's difficult to watch, but I wouldn't say it's super disturbing, in the sense that there's other movies on my list that I have to get to that I know is just made for disturbing, just to be disturbing. Whereas this, very much, it's so well written. I was so surprised that I was getting so into the story. And just, you have so much empathy for these poor people that it really does kind of makes it more watchable. I feel it makes it more palatable, if that makes sense, in the sense that the coffee table, it's a horrific incident that happens and you feel sorry for these people, but because it feels like it feels so real, it's more palatable than something that is just so they've just gone ham just to be disturbing for disturbing's sake. Which I think this movie, yes, they've gone very extreme with it, but I feel that there is a reason behind this movie, you know. Looking at it's based on a novel, loosely. I don't believe it's a true adaptation. It is relatively based on the novel, but I feel like, and it's of the same name as well, but I feel like looking at just like society and the classes and just how depraved people will get, and almost like how wealthy you get, it reaches a limit where you just don't become human anymore. And I feel like that is just such a big driving force of this movie that it makes it more palatable. And it's actually a movie that I would recommend to some people. So on the disturbing scale, out of 1 to 10, I didn't do this with Coffee Table. I'm going to give a 5, whereas Salo, I'm going to give this a 7. So I think it's hard to get through, and it's not going to be for everybody, but if you're someone that can deal with the depravity side of it, but someone that likes these type of movies that look into the era of the World War, or looks into just interesting to do with like wealth divides and stuff like that, I would recommend to give it a go, because I think it's very well directed and very well written, and the empathy you feel for these characters and the fact that you get so drawn into the story, it makes it more palatable, if that makes sense. But there you go, that's my thought on Salo. I have tried so hard to word this without getting booted off of YouTube, so hopefully it was still enjoyable for you guys. Comment down below any disturbing movies you want to see me cover and do a disturbing movie breakdown, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and you subscribe to the channel. It helps me out and it's your place to be if you want these type of videos. Also, follow me on these social medias. You can go on there and you can hit me up with any video requests you want to see me do on there, as well as commenting down below. But thank you so much for watching. I've been Sophia Margaritelli. This has been the Disturbing Movie Breakdown. Ciao, ciao. Bye for now.